This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. Okay, if you're a real Star Wars fan, you probably know where that quote came from. Uh, Basically, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn were getting ready to go interrogate somebody from the bad side. Why in the world would I quote Star Wars to start off a Your Mavs podcast? Well, here's why. When I say we have two of them, I'm talking about two killer rookies. Okay, obviously, we got the first overall pick and brought in a generational prospect in Cooper Flagg. But what about the other guy? What about the guy that went undrafted, the little brother of Andrew Nembhard, the Canadian Chris Paul? I'm talking about Ryan Nembhard, or Nimby for short. And yeah, we're totally going to make that a thing, calling him Nimby. Anyway, yeah, we have now not one, but two rookies that are in the top 10 of Rookie of the Year standings. And it's only going up from here, guys. But yeah, that's what I mean whenever I say this is getting out of hand. I don't know if the league can handle coming up against not one, but two killer rookies. But anyway, in the meantime, the streak lives, y'all. We are now 3 in a row, okay, after beating the Miami Heat, which, by the way, I told you we would. We're just riding high. We're averaging 121 points a game over the last 3 games. Vibes are up, okay? And guess what? We're only a game and a half back from the play-in spot. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'll let you decide for yourself. But either way, we're cruising. And as we head into a tough back-to-back this weekend, tomorrow and Saturday night, we're going to be facing OKC and Houston. We'll briefly bask in our temporary glory here, riding that hot winning streak. But we're also going to talk through a few of the biggest storylines coming into the weekend. Okay, so you're going to want to stick around all the way to the end of this one. I am your host, Ethan, the advisor Clayton, and this is Your Mavs, a Dallas Mavericks podcast where all are welcome. Y'all better behave. Okay, let's dive in. Obviously, I want to start with a box score breakdown. That's how I do things around here. So let's start from the top. It was a 118-108 victory. Okay, it was very much like the Denver Nuggets game in that we fell behind early, dug ourselves a pretty big hole, and it just didn't look like we were going to be putting it together on the court. But we did. In fact, figured it out in a big way in the second quarter, outscored them by 15. By the time the third quarter rolls around, we're up by 17. Okay, we're really, really cruising. Okay, and gosh, I think that was the biggest lead we've had of the entire season. I didn't fact check that before I started recording. But we were up by 17, and then going into the fourth quarter, things started stumbling a little bit, and the lead was cut down to 4. But then Cooper Flagg happened in a very, very big way. In fact, there's a specific sequence. You probably saw it. You probably heard other podcasters talk about it. But he goes and gets a nice turnaround fadeaway midi over Davion Mitchell, who is a fabulous defender. Then on the other end of the floor, the very next play, he gets a devastating block on Andrew Wiggins. And then, same sequence, he streaks back down to the other side of the court. He receives a pass in the paint from Anthony Davis. Nice layup finish. So it was a beautiful sequence. And it was one of those situations where that 4-point lead could have been cut to 2, but instead it was extended to 10, right? Nice little 6-point swing led by our clutch rookie, right? He's got that clutch gene. It is unbelievable to watch him, especially in the fourth quarter. And besides what Coop and Nimby did, we shot 52% from the field and 50% from 3. Guys, we are hotter than hot right now. And I don't know if this is our true identity, that we're a killer offensive team, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is a fluke. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the worst offense in NBA history is who we are. I don't know. We don't have enough data yet, but I'm really, really enjoying what I'm seeing on the floor right now. Again, we are hotter than hot. Now, some of the high points looking at the box score. The biggest high point, it's what we've already talked about a couple times. It's the rookie duo. It's Cooper, the main event Flagg, and Ryan, the Canadian Chris Paul Nembhard. Okay, I'm making all of these. I didn't make up the main event. I made up the Canadian Chris Paul nickname. I don't know if that's going to stick. But Coop was the Mavericks' leading scorer with 22 points. And then Ryan Nembhard put up a solid 15 and 13. And when I say 15 and 13, 15 points, 13 assists. 13 assists is insane. So let's just camp out on that for a second. 13. That's kind of what I'm getting at whenever I threw out the Canadian Chris Paul. He's just dishing out dimes left and right. And in fact, he is the first, not the first, but the second undrafted rookie in NBA history to have 2 10-plus assist games in a row. Let that sink in. Second in NBA history. Now, what's really fun about that statistic is that the only other person in NBA history to do that is on the Dallas Mavericks roster, and that is Brandon Williams. He had 2 of those 10-plus assist games in his rookie season whenever he played for the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, another thing that stuck out to me on the box score, Miami has been a high-octane offense to start the season, and we held them to 39 and 29 shooting splits between the field and the three-point line. I think that's pretty impressive, and it speaks volumes to what we already knew to be true. We are a solid defense. We have been in the top 5 the entire season, okay? And last night was no exception. We held one of the best offenses to pretty terrible shooting. And then on the flip side of that, the Miami Heat are also one of the top 5 defenses in the NBA, and we just dropped 118 on their heads, okay? So I like what I'm seeing. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. Winning is fun, especially when we do it in a more convincing fashion. And by the way, one of the commenters pointed out that I was really freaking close with my final score prediction of 122 to 109. Like, I was so hyped watching the game. I thought I had pitched a perfect game with all of my predictions. I hit on most of those. But anyway, it was a fun game to watch nonetheless. Last thing on the box score, we out-rebounded the Heat by a wide margin, 50 to 41, when last time they out-rebounded us by a wide margin. But as always, we are not without flaw. There was one glaring issue that I saw, not just on the box score, but on the court. And once again, it's the turnovers. Okay. Our numbers are trending downward, which is a good thing. We only had 13 of them last night as opposed to the 17 that we're averaging per game for the season. But guys, it was 3 crucial turnovers in the fourth quarter that really let Miami back into the game, and it became way too close for comfort. Okay. So I want to see us take better care of the ball down the stretch in the fourth quarter, especially because if we do that, then some of these bigger leads that we build up in the second and third quarter can sustain, and we don't have to constantly be in a clutch game situation. In fact, Cooper Flagg was interviewed after the game, and that was one of the things he said. I prefer to be playing in games where we have built up nice leads. Virtually every game this season has been decided in the clutch, and we've been on the wrong end of those clutch situations. So Coop was really basking in the glory of having a lead for most of the game, right? Again, we kind of flirted with disaster there in fourth quarter, but we figured it out mainly because of that sequence already described by Cooper Flagg. Quick shout out, Klay Thompson. Okay, he has been a flamethrower off the bench and had another 5 3-pointer outing. That makes 2 of the last 3 games that he's had 5 3-pointers or more. And then let's see here. That's 3 out of the last 7 games that he's done it. So his shooting efficiency is very much trending upward. I don't know if we're going to chalk that up as he's trying to boost his trade value or if he's just Klay Thompson doing Klay Thompson things. Probably that second option. Whether or not we trade him, he's doing Klay things, right? We love to see it. Now, to wrap up our episode, I want to talk through 3 big storylines heading into the weekend, the tough back-to-back that we're going to have. Again, that's going to be OKC we're going to be against OKC tomorrow night, and then against the Houston Rockets on Saturday night. So I don't expect to see our winning streaks stay alive this weekend. We'll see what happens. But the top storyline going into the weekend, I mentioned this earlier. Ryan Nembhard has now cracked the top 10 in Rookie of the Year voting. Okay, he did that earlier this week, where it's like, oh, now we have not 1 but 2 in the top 10, and I expect him to continue skyrocketing in those standings because he's dropping double doubles every game. He's getting double-digit assists. He's looking like a polished vet out there, and that's another reason why I'm calling him the Canadian CP3. But yeah, that's a storyline to keep an eye on. Can he keep it up? Is this just a blip in the radar? I'm going to compare this more to like the Lynn Sanity that happened maybe 13, 14 years ago when I was in college. It wasn't just a blip. He had a nice long stretch. I think this is going to be more like that. Anthony Davis is a storyline heading into the weekend. Apart from all of the trade discussions and rumors and whatnot, obviously he's not going to play in a back-to-back. Okay, so is he going to play in the first leg or the second leg? Is it going to be OKC or is it going to be Houston? I think if, and this is a big if, I don't have any concrete information, if PJ Washington returns to play against the Oklahoma City Thunder, then maybe we should reserve AD to play on Saturday against Houston. And I really, really, really want PJ Washington to play against the OKC because he owns that franchise. Whether or not AD plays tomorrow night, if PJ plays, I feel really, really good about our chances of winning because he, again, just owns those guys. Last big storyline coming into the weekend that kind of pertains to what we have going on is Giannis. Now, this is not super Mavericks related as I bring him up. I don't expect that we will be making offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but even if we did, I don't think we would have the most enticing trade package because we virtually have no draft picks for a long time. And the ones that we do have, we need to hold on to. But we could be involved in a 3 or 4 team trade. If you want to hear really good deep dive on this, go listen to Locked On Mavs. Isaac Harris did an incredible breakdown of all the different possible scenarios that could unfold and whether or not Giannis comes to the Mavericks could be involved in those trades. But the reason I bring him up in today's episode is because he has been linked to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, pause. What the mess are we talking about here? Like, obviously, there's appeal to go play in OKC, right? Play alongside last season's MVP. Play with last season's NBA champs, right? Like, there's a lot to like about what OKC's got going on. But Lord have mercy, I do not want to see or hear about any more OKC and Giannis rumors. They're already a disgusting team, right? They went 17-1 before Jalen Williams even touched the court. Now they're 21-1. Like, it's insane. So can we not bring like a former MVP, former NBA champ at 30 years old even? Like, can we not? Now, it is interesting though, because Oklahoma City definitely has the draft picks to attract, a big trade like Giannis, right? But do they have the salary matching pieces? I mean, like their calling card right now is being able to sign young, proven talent on like very team friendly contracts. So they'd have to include like 6 of those or whatever to match the $53 million incoming of Giannis's salary. So I don't know. This definitely doesn't pertain to the Mavs, but if the Mavs, put a belt to their whats over the weekend, then maybe Oklahoma City feels like they need to swing big for a trade like this, right? Because you got to be thinking, hey, if we get our what's handed to us by a less than perfectly healthy Dallas Mavericks, then maybe we should go all in for a big superstar like Giannis. I don't know. I don't want to be the team that moves that needle for them to make that kind of decision and then make a big trade and then win the next 3 or 4 NBA finals. They're kind of set to do that anyway without having Shea and Giannis on the same court together. That would be disgusting to watch. I don't want to see it. So anyway, on the plus side, if they did trade for Giannis, that might hurt their long-term outlook, which, I'd be kind of cool with that because they'd have to give up a lot of their draft picks, and that's how they've built their team to the situation that they're in right now. So that's really all I have for you today. Gosh, there's so much that we could discuss in the comment section. Kind of the first thing I want to hear from you about is this Ryan Nembhard upward trend? Is that going to continue or is it a fluke? Second thing I want to hear from you about, do you think our turnover issues are going to start to dissipate as a result of Ryan Nembhard being in our starting lineup? And then last thing, tell me if you think this, if Klay is just doing Klay things or if he is doing a little bit extra to boost his trade value. And then lastly, I think I said last. I think AD is going to play against OKC or Houston. My money's on Houston, especially if PJ returns to the court tomorrow night. But again, that's all I have for you. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, follow, comment, hit the bell on your screen, all that jazz, right? I want to continue building this community. I would love to be at 50 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think I'm at like 27 last I looked. Not record-breaking numbers by any stretch, but the community is growing. We're having fun in the comment section, so make sure you stop by. In the meantime, I'll see you around Twitter. Y'all be good. Party on.